Hey everyone, it's DFA, welcome back to the channel, and yes, today we are taking a look at American light cruisers. It's a playbook for these ships, which are very interesting ones, a very complete line of ships, and we will be using a ship that many of you have actually received for free during events and owned. It's called the Helena, Tier 7 American Premium Light Cruiser. And it's a perfect showcase on how to use those American light cruisers. So I'm going to be using it with four battles. I'm going to show you 4 MVP games with that thing, because that thing is an absolute carry machine. But I had no idea how to use it when I first received it. I absolutely sucked at it. So let's take a look at how to handle different situations with that thing, starting with number 1, gameplay 1. Let's go. Yeah, dealing with destroyers not always easy with those things, because they are absolutely inaccurate and the shells take forever to reach their target. So essentially what you're going to do is, and Helena has actually a feature that only the higher tier American light cruisers have, it does have a radar. It's essentially a Brooklyn with less range and no sonar but 2 radar charges. And watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to deep dive into the cap and I'm going to wait until I'm spotted, because the radar range is absolutely equal. There you go, I'm detected and boom, I'm popping up my radar, and here we have 2 destroyers in the process of making love right in front of my 15 guns. And that's how you deal with destroyers with that thing, or with those ships in general. You have to use your radar to get, I would say, I'm not engaging against other destroyers until they are within, I would say, within my concealment ring, like within 7 or 8 kilometers, because they're just going to dodge everything I'm going to throw at them, and they're really going to, it's really not worth it sacrificing your concealment. So you do have an insane amount of gun, 15s on the Helena, and you have to, they're useless if you're not hitting anything, so you have to get as close as you can to your target. Here, for example, that's 6 kilometers, there you go. Oh, amazing lag. It's okay, I'm going to have my revenge soon, don't worry. This thing is going to come a little bit too close to me. I'm waiting for it to show broadside, and sure enough, there you go. 15 guns on target. With the secondaries, that's a nice 19, and that's half of its health gone. So of course, these ships are actually fairly mobile and maneuverable, so you can fairly easily dodge torpedoes, and sure enough, that was the second DDs of the game. That's already gone. There's still 1 left on the enemy team, and it happens to appear right in front of us. So let's repeat the playbook, get as close as we can. No need to use the radar this time, it's already detected right in front of us. Don't forget to lead with those things, because yeah, the shells take forever to reach their target, and so that's how you deal with destroyers with those things, and you get as close as you can to your target. And as soon as you become spotted, you activate your radar, and usually that will reveal 1 or 2 destroyers within 7 kilometers of you, ready to get hit by your amazing guns. And since you are fairly maneuverable, no incentive for you to get any closer. Stay between 6 and 8 kilometers, punch them in the face, dodge their torpedoes, and move on to the next engagement. So there you go, that was MVP number 1, how to deal with destroyers. Let's take a look at the next situation. So second gameplay, how to deal with things that are bigger than a destroyer. Well, essentially you want the same playbook, you want to get as close as you can to them, and you don't really have a choice, because Helena, and generally speaking, American light cruisers have a very limited range. I think Helena, it's only 10 kilometers, something like that, and I'm using the historical camo, so it's as good as it's going to get, unfortunately. And so what you're going to do is, so you cannot, how would you say it? You have to find ways to get close to those targets and to engage them. And luckily you do get a unique feature on that kind of ships that the Japanese gunboats also have. You have high shell arcs. So the very reason for which you are not able to consistently hit destroyers at relatively short at medium to long range, is the very same reason you will be safe from battleships. You are simply going to get as close as you can to an island, but not too close, because you don't want your shells to hit that island. So you use the island and the terrain as a protection. There I have 2 battleships in front of me to simply farm them, and at this moment I'm still moving back and forth, trying left and right, because in case they decide to engage me, but I'm not sure they will, because I'm fairly protected in this situation. And what is going to happen is I'm actually going to start moving now, because there's no point anymore. I'm pretty safe there, and I'm going to farm them until they decide to give up. I tend to use HE at longer ranges with those things, because the accuracy is not top, and I'm not able to place AP shells reliably on their weak spots. And they're generally, especially as of tier 8, very decent fire setters. So fires are always an option with those things. And sure enough, you see the damage piling up. Those 15 guns have no problem hitting their targets at that range. And so essentially that is how you do it, since your range is fairly limited and you are not accurate enough to be hitting weak spots. You will simply try to progress using islands to conceal yourself, to protect yourself. And so once you have found that it's close enough to the situation or the ships that you want to engage, you put yourself at a reasonable distance behind the island, so your shells can actually hit or fly over it, but the enemy is not in a position to be firing at you, and you start farming. And what will generally happen is they will do 2 things. They will either get close to you, close the distance to expel you from the island, or they will start running away, which is what my 2 friends here are doing, because absolutely no solution for them to that situation. It's an easy win for our team anyway. I'm going to fast forward until the end of the gameplay, because what I'm going to do now is essentially I'm going to leave my protection. It's a 1 versus 3. I see that one of my cruisers is making a push, and I'm simply going to be following him, using him as a tank, and I'm going to get as close as I can to that synop. And here we are, a couple of seconds later, we set him on triple fire. We are within 8 kilometers of it, so we can switch to AP, and we can hopefully finish him and get the second MVP of the series. So there you go. That was how you deal with battleships with those things. And in the next one, there you go, that's it. And in the next one, we're going to take a look at another particular situations. What do you do when yes, part 3, fair question, what do you do if there is no island? And as you see, that game started absolutely amazingly well, because our CV decided to commit suicide and entered the middle of the epicenter after 1 minute, and that's it. So after 1 minute we are left without a CV, and of course it was during the Warhammer event, so we have a shit ton of battleships on the enemy team, and I am here with my tier 7 American cruiser. So what I'm going to do, since there is no island in front of me, I cannot engage that battleship. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my agility to retreat, and I'm going to be using another one of these battleships as an island. And it's essentially the same trick as what you did with the island, because you can actually get fairly close to your ships and act in that way so that the enemy ships are not able to hit you. So there I'm not exactly precisely behind him, but now there you go. Now I'm a very difficult target to hit, especially if these guys are using the auto aim. And so it's me and a battleship against 2 enemy battleships. And if it is going to look to you as synchronized swimming, it's because it is kind of, you see that I'm constantly monitoring my position and my speed to stay as close as I can to my teammate, because do not have too many hit points. I'm actually being fairly vulnerable right now, so I really have to watch out for my position and always make sure that I put him between me and the danger. Yeah, and don't forget, I mean, it's a battleship, it's meant to be taking damage as well. It's meant to absorb massive amounts of punishment. Me just standing between the enemy team and him would just be completely stupid and suicidal. I'm a light cruiser, I'm not meant to be doing that. But I can certainly use my maneuverability and my firepower to support him, and there you go, that's how we dealt with the first one. The second one is already set on fire. Let's see if we can repeat that. And you see that my maneuverability allows me to stay in a beautiful and well-protected position right behind him. Absolutely no problem. The other thing that you might have missed is that the enemy CV is actually coming for us, and that's what I'm going to do now. I'm afraid that the destroyer might have used that to sneak up on us, but that's not the case. He's nowhere near, so I'm using my radar to make sure of that. But I'm also going to protect the battleship and shoot down as many planes as I can, because yeah, that's actually my role. The battleship is there to be taking damage and to be attracting as much attention as he can, but me as an American light cruiser, my job is actually to shoot down as many planes as I can, and sure enough, there you go, this one is going down. Our battleship is almost gone, and the CV is sending another wave of planes in my direction, so I'm going to turn around and get ready to get absolutely trashed by the Indomitable. Because yeah, what can I do, right? I mean, I just hope that it doesn't set me on fire, because yeah, I might actually be able to use my repair kit, but this is going to be very, very, very close. And there is still an Italian destroyer on the enemy team. So yeah, my radar is not ready, but is actually getting fairly close, and I'm in a position to be engaging him absolutely no problem. So that is how you do it once there are no islands. Find the nearest teammate, the nearest battleship, and use him as a cover to farm damage and support him, because yeah, that's also kind of your role, but once it's over, take your place again on the battleship, on the battlefield, start capturing bases, start taking down planes, and act as a screen between your battleships and the enemy DDs. There you go, that was MVP number 3. Let's take a look at number 4. Yeah, I think that's a fair question. What do you do when there are no islands to protect you, there are no teammates to protect you, absolutely nothing, you are just there in the open? Well, the first thing we're going to do there is we're going to dispatch the enemy light cruiser, because essentially what we're going to do is we are going to be using our concealment and our maneuverability to get away from those situations. Kiting is always an option, but in that case he is absolutely not chasing me, and sure enough you saw us using our radar to take a significant chunk of that Fiji and to make him understand that it's time to run away. And now we are left against that Colorado, and I do not, I'm not sure I can actually use that island, and if I do, I'm not going to be able to use it for long. I cannot get too close to the center of the map, because that's where the CV is sending its planes, so it's a bit of a problem for me, and that Colorado is starting to look at me, so it's time to find another option. What we are going to do is we're going to be using our concealment there. I've actually published a fairly good video on that using the Brooklyn, so the sister ship of the Helena, the one that has a bit more range and the sonar but no radar. And what you essentially want to do is you want to get as close as you can to your targets, avoid the areas where the CVs are sending their planes, because those are certainly going to detect you, and you want to sneak on your enemies from an angle or a direction they do not expect. So essentially, it's how you call it, you're going to crash the party, essentially. So you're going to wait until they are busy with another target. In that case, I have a battleship at B, and that's a very tempting proposition for the Colorado to engage. My CV is also giving us a little bit of help, and I'm going to get as close as I can before I engage that Colorado. I'm using my concealment, because the concealment on these things is absolutely excellent. I think it's around 7 kilometers for the Helena, so that's very, very good. And essentially, as soon as I'm pretty sure that that Colorado is engaging my other battleship, I'm going to open fire. So I'm going to wait a little, yeah, he's turning around, so he was clearly focusing on something else than me, and now I'm actually being fairly safe, in a safe situation. I'm inserting myself into a fight, and that's a very easy and simple way to be engaging your targets. You use your mobility to relocate on the map and to essentially invite yourself to another fight that you did not start. And essentially you will find that the participants will already be kind of busy, and that you are allowed to have quite an impact. Of course, that doesn't mean that you have to go around the entire map to do that, and you see me there using my AP shells at short range. Boom, bye bye. That went well, quite fast. And we're going to be repeating the same process with the rest of the enemy team, because the CV, it's a little bit too far away for me, but there is still a cruiser that must be the remaining Fiji, which we handicapped a little bit early on. And there you go, that's the final battleship on the enemy team. If I'm not mistaken, it was a New Mexico. Well, there you go. So I'm simply going to get as close as I can, and I'm going, no, that's not a Fiji, it was a York actually. Fine. Still repeating the same playbook, getting as close as we can. I'm putting my guns in the general direction where I think that I'm going to be engaging that New Mexico, because it's certainly going to be focusing on the cruiser and the CV. The Colorado behind me is not going to be able to help. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself in a completely different opposite direction as the rest of my team, putting as much distance as I can between me and my teammates, and I'm not going to be opening fire immediately. There you go, my Colorado is engaging, the fight has already started. So essentially you want to wait until the enemy ship is unable to engage you, and is actually not able to do that because he might already have fire. That's not the case here, but as soon as he starts turning, that's a good indication, because remember, those things, turrets turn incredibly slow, and there's absolutely no way that he's actually able to engage me right now. He's going to focus on the DD and the Colorado, and it's a 3 versus 1. It's going to go down very quickly. I'm in ideal engagement range, I'm in an excellent position, and sure enough, yeah, the damage is just going to pile up at that range. Those ships are excellent for that, really. That's 2 battleships in the same situation. So there you go, that was the end of the last thing. There's still the CV there, but yeah, we're probably going to put a couple of shells into it, and that's it. So I hope I was able to help you there, to give you a couple of interesting tips on how to play these American cruisers, and especially the Helena, because when I first got it, I absolutely sucked at it. I was absolutely abysmal. I had no idea what to do with it, especially when you're used to putting things like the Belfast and the Abruzzi in front of you. Yeah. Helena, it's completely different, but it does have an insane amount of carry potential. I absolutely love it now. Now that I know how to use it, I absolutely adore it, and I'm well in the process of bringing my MVP rate on with that thing above 40%. So yeah, that's going to happen in a couple of battles, I'm afraid, I think so. So there you go, I hope you found that session useful. That was the final MVP of the series. I hope you're convinced that you can actually do very well with that thing now. So go ahead, enjoy it as much as I enjoy mine, and I will see you soon. Stay safe, take care. That was DFA, signing out. Bye bye.